5 easy natural dyes from kitchen scraps. If you've ever wanted to dye wool, yarn, or fiber with natural dyes but felt completely overwhelmed by the steps, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Nelske, and today I'm dyeing 10-gram samples of my hand-spun wool to show you how simple this can be. When I started dyeing with natural dyes, I kept reading that pre-mordanting is an absolutely crucial step if you want to achieve lasting results. And it can be, but for the food scraps that I'm using today, it's not necessary, so we're skipping it. Why can we do that? Because these things are high in tannins, and tannins act as their own natural mordant, which means we can skip the alum for a different video and just work with what's already in the kitchen instead. Okay, let's look at our dyestuffs. First up, pomegranate, and this is how easy it can be. I ate some of the fruit 5 minutes before I started dyeing, saved the peel, and just chucked that in. Avocado. For this dye bath, I'm using both the pit and the peel of an entire avocado. Pro tip, make sure that you clean the green meat off really well so it cannot grow moldy if you're saving the avocado for later, or it can influence the color of your dye bath, which is also not fun. Coffee grounds. I just scraped a day's worth of coffee grounds from the filter, which is about 3 scoops for me, a little bit less. I put them in a tea bag before putting them in the dye bath because I did not feel like washing it out of the wool or filtering it out of the dye bath later. You can easily replace coffee with tea and see if you get different results. Or a fun experiment would be to compare black tea with green tea and see how the color changes. Onion skins. I use standard yellow onion skins. I didn't have a lot of them, so I only used a little bit. Now remember that red onion skins will go towards browns, whereas yellow onion skins usually lean more towards gold. Next up, the vintage tumeric that I got from my aunt, who I think got it in the 80s, perhaps. It was sold as dyestuff. So we'll see if this 30 to 40-year-old root still has some kick. I was going to use an actual food scrap, to be honest, but it was going to be carrot top, but my birds really love it and it didn't have the heart. Plus, I think it might need alum, so turmeric it is. Step 1, water. I put my food scraps into this eclectic collection of glass jars and top them off with water. If you don't have glass jars or a large kettle, a dedicated dye pot works perfectly. Do make sure it's dedicated so you're not cooking dinner in it later. Step 2, add heat. I place my jars into my large kettle and slowly let the heat go up to 80 degrees Celsius, which is 176 degrees Fahrenheit, which I know because I looked it up. Again, if you don't have a kettle, don't worry. You can use a pot. It works perfectly fine. Just make sure it's a dedicated dye pot. If you don't have a thermometer, that's also fine. Just make sure that steam is rising up and check to see if there's color coming into the dye bath. You want this hot. You do not want to let this boil. If you do, that lovely avocado pink that we're expecting might shift to a muddy brown. Now I let this steep at 80 degrees for an hour, then turn off the heat and let it cool down slowly overnight. Step 3, dyeing. Once cooled, the next day I fished out the food scraps. Now you can leave them in if you want a more variegated or spotty look, which is actually what I usually do. But once fished out, I added my 10-gram mini-skeins of pre-soaked yarn. Put those jars back in the kettle and again repeat the process. Just let it heat slowly up to 80 degrees Celsius and leave it in for an hour. Turn it off and let it cool down slowly overnight. Now, a word of wisdom. If you think the color is saturated enough, or if you're just really impatient and you want to pull out the yarn before it's actually cooled down, use tongs. Maybe even use tongs when it's cooled down, or gloves when you pull out the yarn. Personally, I don't mind having onion fingers for a week, but you might. After rinsing out the excess dye, washing out the food smell and drying, here's what we got. Pomegranate, a light muted beige yellow, very pretty. Avocado, a dusty, quite dark pink. Avocado never disappoints me. Everything I've dyed with avocado has held up so well. It's all different shades too. Coffee, I'm a bit meh about this one. It's a nice beige brown, but I wouldn't die for it. Onion skins, my second favorite because they always yield results. I actually got an orange this time, which is a first for me. It just shows how much variation you can get. Check out the other onion skin samples I have from a few years ago. Turmeric. This one made me laugh. It is so bright. However, turmeric is more a stain than a dye. It's very fugitive, which means it will fade quickly in the light. I'm going to put this on the windowsill to see how long it lasts. So there you have it. Natural plant dye magic or kitchen chemistry. 2 rounds of heating and overnight rests. I hope this showed you that you don't have to be afraid to experiment and you don't have to pre-mordant everything. I'm going to pop this turmeric sample on the windowsill to see how fleeting the color really is. Place your bets in the comments below on how long you think it will take to fade. If you enjoyed this low-stress approach to crafting, please consider giving the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It should help me keep the dye pots bubbling and the spinning wheel turning. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.